Hi, my name is Karsten Silz. I'm a senior Java developer and live in Milton Keynes in the United Kingdom. I'd like to share some of my work with you, so please enjoy. Today I want to show you a progressive web app I built. Why did I build it? I wanted to see if I could speed up app development. More specifically, I wanted to answer two particular questions. Question number one is, can the web app do enough of the native tasks that I needed in my particular scenario on mobile? And number two is, could the development of such a web application be faster than using Flutter development, which is what I benchmarked it against? So how did I go about finding this out? Well, I built a progressive web application. What is a progressive web application, or PWA? It is a web application that utilizes the service worker in a browser. Through that service worker, the web application then can install itself on your device, store data locally more conveniently, and it can do features such as intercepting all your browser calls to your backend and then caching them, for instance, for later use. I built my backend with JHipster and Spring Boot, my web application with Angular, and I used Google Workbox for the general progressive web application development, local installation, service worker utilization, and caching data. Now, Google Workbox also has a sync mode for offline, but that didn't work on iOS, and that's why I built my own offline store using the IndexedDB browser database. Did it work? Unfortunately, it did not. So I spent about 4 weeks in November 2019 through January 2020 building this application. And the first issue was that a progressive web application cannot receive push notifications on iOS. On iOS, such an application also has relatively little storage space, about 50 megabyte. And I found that at least here in my environment, testing of the application took much longer than testing a Flutter application. So the result is I stuck with Flutter application development. I did not build the application as a progressive web application. So what are you about to see? Well, number one, you see how such a progressive web application can be installed on iOS, how the application accesses the native Maps app, how it can cache data for when the device is offline, and how my custom offline store allows the application to store data while being offline and then send it back to the server when the browser is online again. It's showtime. The progressive web app I built runs on two devices right now. On my iPhone, my real device. I needed to use that and not a simulator because some things don't work reliably in a simulator. And then the Android simulator on the right. So I have the same web page open in both devices. You can see it from the URL. And to show you that I'm really having the same set of data, you see I've got visits going on here from 23rd of January until the 26th. Same thing on my iPhone. Now the first thing I want to show you is just how I can access the map application. It's relatively simple. It's a URL. So on my phone, I can see the map opening up. Great. And now the same thing on Android. Here is Google Maps showing up. Okay, so let me go back. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to install this application on my device, on my iPhone. I do this by adding it to the home screen. And now I've got the application installed. It's got its icon. It looks like a native application. It's not just a bookmark, it's really an application. So let me demonstrate that to you. So first of all, I need to sign in again. And now I've got the same application running more locally. So what does that mean? It means that it now caches the HTTP GET request to my backend, request with which it reads data on the device. So if I now open up this visit and go back and open up maybe the last one as well, then my expectation would be that I can actually see this data when the device is offline. I'm about to test it, but before that, I'd like to add a note here, not for this one, but for the very last visit. So I've got 4 nodes here. I want to add a node. I'm going to call it number 5, and I'm going to save it after this device is offline so that the device here doesn't have that data yet. Okay, so I'm going offline now, and you can see the device now has a yellow nav bar at the top showing that its offline application recognized that. So I'm going to go over to Android, save node number 5. So remember, I now have node number 5 here. Okay. Now, while I'm being offline, I want to see my visit here, and that works because I was on that screen before. I did that HTTP request and it was cached locally, but I still just have these 4 nodes here, and now I want to add 2 nodes while I'm being offline. My expectation is the device stores the data and then syncs it back later on. So let's see. So I'm going to add a comment here. I have node number 5 over there, so I'm going to add node number 6 and 7. So please pay attention to the nav bar at the top. It now tells me that I've got 1 sync record. So 1 piece of data is just stored locally on the device, not sent to the server. And you can see it here as well. It is yellow because it's just on the device, not on the server. So I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to add node number 7. And now I've got 2 records here that need to be synced. And just to show that really the data is on my iPhone and not on the server, I'm just going to reload the web page here. And I just see nodes 1 through 5. So now I'm going to take my iPhone online again. My expectation is that the data is going to be synced to the server. My iPhone is going to get record number 5, and the Android phone is going to get record number 6 and 7. Let's see. So now we see the device going online again, the note there that the data is being sent back to the server, and you see the nodes here lost their yellow color, meaning that they now are stored on the server, and most importantly, the device also got node number 5 from Android. And so now if I refresh the page on Android, I should also see the records 6 and 7 showing up there. And here we go. That actually worked. So what I've shown is that the device stores data locally when being offline and sends it back to the server when online again. I built this custom with IndexedDB. So what did we just see? We saw how a progressive web application can be installed on iOS, how it has access to the native Maps application, how it can cache data for offline mode, and how it can store new data when being offline, sending it back to the server when online again. I'd like to thank you for your attention and your time. If you want to find out more about me, then please go to my website. And that's a wrap for today. I hope you liked what you saw. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.